Title: At a family gathering, my wife's sister slapped me in front of my kids. She yelled, "You're not even a real father, you just adopted them." I touched my cheek, which was stinging, and smiled, saying, "Since you brought it up." Now my wife keeps apologizing, and my in-laws are begging me. Chapter 1: The Gathering That Changed Everything. It was supposed to be a peaceful Sunday. My wife, Evelyn, had insisted we attend her family's annual garden gathering, the one where her parents, siblings, and their kids would all show up to show off their wealth, gossip behind closed doors, and pretend everything was perfect. I went for my children, Ava and Eli. I say my because they are, in every way that matters. I adopted them when I married Evelyn 5 years ago. Their biological father vanished without a trace. I raised them. I stayed up through their nightmares, coached their soccer practices, sat through every parent-teacher meeting. But to some people in Evelyn's family, I was just the stand-in. I had brought a gift for her father, a vintage watch I found after months of hunting, and was just about to hand it to him when her sister, Clarissa, came storming across the yard. Her voice pierced the calm. "You think you belong here?" she snarled, jabbing a manicured finger at me. "You've always been beneath this family. You're just a leech." Everyone froze. Evelyn's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. I calmly said, "Clarissa, maybe not here?" Before I could finish, she stepped forward and slapped me. The sound echoed across the patio. My kids gasped. Eli clutched Ava's hand. I slowly turned back to face her, my cheek stinging. Then she screamed something that made my blood go cold, and the entire gathering shatter. "You're not even their real father. You just adopted them. You're nothing." Silence. The kids were trembling. Evelyn's mouth dropped open. My in-laws didn't move. No one defended me. I gently touched my cheek, still burning from the slap. Then looked Clarissa in the eye and smiled. "Since you brought it up, maybe it's time everyone knows the whole truth." I looked around. I was hoping to keep this buried, but since we're talking about real parents, well... Clarissa stepped back. Evelyn turned pale. Her father dropped his wineglass. And in that moment, I began to unravel everything. Chapter 2: The Envelope I Never Opened, Until Now. Everyone stood frozen, as if time itself had paused. Clarissa looked smug, still high from her outburst. My kids were shaken. Ava had tears in her eyes. Eli hid behind me, confused and afraid. Evelyn finally stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Clarissa." That was uncalled for, but I held up my hand. "No, Evelyn. Let's not protect anyone today. Let's tell the truth." From my inside pocket, I pulled out a sealed manila envelope, weathered at the corners, unopened for years. I held it up so everyone could see. "This envelope," I said quietly, "was handed to me 5 years ago, the day I legally adopted Ava and Eli. It contains the final report from the private investigator I hired, the one Evelyn begged me not to open." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Evelyn's face went ghost white. I kept my promise until today. My fingers trembled slightly as I peeled the seal open for the first time. Inside was a stack of documents, photos, and a notarized letter from the investigator. I looked at Evelyn, then at her parents, and finally at Clarissa. "You said I'm not their real father, Clarissa," I said. "Then explain this." I turned the first page toward them. It was a DNA comparison. Turns out neither is Evelyn's ex-husband. Ava and Eli's biological father is someone else entirely. Murmurs. Shock. Evelyn collapsed into a chair. And it wasn't just one man, I added coldly. Your daughter, Mr. and Mrs. Lancaster, had 3 different affairs during her marriage. She didn't even know which one fathered her children. Clarissa's smirk evaporated. Evelyn gasped. Her mother covered her mouth in horror. But I stayed, I continued. I stayed. I loved those children as my own. I was more of a father than their biological one ever was. I was faithful, supportive. And this is how you repay me? I looked directly at Evelyn. You let your sister humiliate me and you did nothing. You all sat there like I was some kind of outsider. Fine, let's make it official. I pulled out a second envelope, this one bright white. Here are the annulment papers, signed, dated, filed. Evelyn began to sob. Wait, no, you can't just... I can, I said, and I have. Then I turned to Ava and Eli, knelt down and said softly, You are my children. Always will be. Nothing changes that. They clung to me, but I wasn't done. As for your company, I said, turning to Evelyn's father, expect the board to remove you within 30 days. I've sold my shares to your biggest competitor, the one you mocked for years. They now own controlling interest. The man sank into his chair, eyes wide. Oh, and the vintage watch? Fake, I said, tossing it onto the table, just like your loyalty. Then I turned back to Clarissa. You should have kept your hands to yourself. Chapter 3. The video my kids secretly filmed. That shocked the internet. As I gathered my things and prepared to leave, Ava tugged at my sleeve. Dad, she whispered, eyes still red from crying, can I show you something? I nodded, kneeling beside her. She pulled out a small tablet from her backpack, one I'd given her last Christmas. With trembling fingers, she opened a video file labeled Thanksgiving Dinner Record.mp4. I started recording that day when Aunt Clarissa said mean things again, Ava said softly. I just wanted proof, in case no one believed me. I pressed play. What followed wasn't just proof, it was dynamite. Clarissa and Evelyn were in the kitchen, not knowing Ava was filming from the pantry. He's such a loser, Clarissa sneered. Can you believe he still thinks those kids are his? Pathetic. Evelyn giggled. I mean, technically he's not wrong. He did adopt them. But seriously, we all know what happened back then. Let him keep playing house. I still say you should have taken child support and dumped him, Clarissa snapped. Instead, you married him and got stuck with his boring morality. Ugh. Then Clarissa said the line that lit my nerves on fire. When Ava's old enough, she'll know the truth anyway. She's not his. None of them are. I paused the video. The entire room was silent. Ava looked up at me with big, scared eyes. Was I wrong to record that? I hugged her tightly. No, sweetheart, I said firmly. You were brave. So brave. I turned toward the rest of the family. Evelyn now in full breakdown, her parents stunned, Clarissa pale as snow. Congratulations, I said, raising the tablet. You just gave the world a front row seat to your true selves. I uploaded the clip to a secure folder and sent it to my attorney, along with a note. Release this to the press if they try to challenge custody or sue me for defamation. But I didn't stop there. That evening, I created a private social media post with limited access, just family and close friends. The title? What Really Happened at That Family Gathering. Within an hour, the comments exploded. Former friends of Clarissa and Evelyn messaged apologies. Business associates of Evelyn's father started distancing themselves. Clients began canceling deals. The fake perfect facade crumbling in real time. By the next morning, Clarissa's engagement had been called off. Evelyn's job offer at her father's company rescinded, and her parents had received a request for retirement from the board, all because a little girl wanted to protect her dad and pressed record. Chapter 4. I took my kids and walked away, but then the courts delivered one final blow. In the weeks that followed, my house, once echoing with tension, became a sanctuary. I filed for full custody of all 3 kids. I expected a fight. I expected Evelyn to drag her heels, cry crocodile tears in court, maybe even try to smear my name. But instead, she didn't show up. Not for the mediation, not for the first hearing, not even for the court-mandated psychological evaluation. Apparently, the backlash from the leaked video had scorched her image in the eyes of her social circle so badly, she chose to disappear instead, off to another city according to her lawyer, with some guy she met on a retreat. Predictable. Clarissa, too, was nowhere to be seen. But I still showed up. Every single time. I brought every photo of birthdays I'd planned, every school event I'd attended, every report card I helped frame on our living room wall. I even brought Ava's video again, just in case they tried to twist the narrative. The judge reviewed everything in silence. Then he looked at me and then at the kids. Ava, trembling but determined. Liam, quiet but steady. Max, clinging to my hand. His gavel struck wood like thunder. Full permanent custody granted to the petitioner. All parental rights of the mother are terminated until such time, if ever, that the children choose to see her again. The courtroom gasped. I just exhaled. Years of restraint, humiliation, emotional bruises, all vindicated in that one moment. But that wasn't the final blow. As I turned to leave the courtroom, my attorney, sharp and grinning, handed me a sealed envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "A little cherry on top," he smirked. "The DNA results. You told me not to open them unless absolutely necessary." I paused. We were past needing it, weren't we? Still, my hands opened the seal. 3 names, 3 results, 1 phrase under each. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. My knees didn't buckle. My heart didn't sink. I just smiled, because I already knew. Those kids may not share my blood, but they share my soul. They are mine, and they always will be. And now they were free, from shame, from lies, from people who didn't deserve to be called family. Epilogue. 1 year later, a toast heard around the world. It had been a year since that courtroom slam sealed our freedom. A year since I'd stopped being the pushover husband and became something else entirely. Dad, in every sense of the word. The kids were thriving. Ava had started therapy and joined the school's debate team. Her confidence bloomed like spring after a bitter winter. Liam was obsessed with robotics and had already won his middle school science fair. Max, my sweet little shadow, still held my hand every night before bed and whispered, "You're my real daddy." We had built something real, solid, joyful. But then something unexpected happened. We were invited to a community recognition banquet hosted by the local school board. Apparently, Ava had nominated me, secretly, for the Parent of the Year award. I found out when they called my name. As I walked to the stage, heart pounding, I could see hundreds of faces smiling, but one stood out, back of the room, arms crossed, tight jaw, eyes empty. Evelyn. She looked nothing like the polished woman I once married. Her clothes were frayed, makeup faded, face tired. She had come back, but not for the kids. She came to be seen. I accepted the award with calm, then cleared my throat and looked at the audience. This isn't about being a perfect parent, I began. It's about showing up. Every single day, no matter the DNA, no matter the bloodline, no matter how many people say, you're not a real father. Because real fathers don't slap, abandon, or betray. They protect. They stay. I turned my gaze to the back of the room. Evelyn had vanished. Later that week, a clip of my speech went viral, posted by a student on TikTok. It reached millions. Support poured in from everywhere. A major nonprofit reached out to partner on a campaign for adoptive fathers. They asked if I'd like to be the face of it. I agreed, on one condition. Let the first billboard say, DNA makes you a parent, but love makes you a dad. They loved it. And as for Clarissa, she tried reaching out once, only to discover that I'd blocked every number, every email, every path back in. My silence was louder than any slap. Today, our house is full of laughter. Photos on the fridge, paintings from Max, trophies from Liam, an award plaque above the dining table that says, "World's Greatest Dad, voted unanimously." And every Christmas, when Ava hands out presents, she always gives me the last one. It's a small box. Inside, a note that reads, "Thanks for choosing us, when others didn't." Was this revenge perfectly justified? Tell us what you have think about this story in the comments below. Like the story. If you think this story is justified, share it with someone who needs this energy, and subscribe to Lauren's story for more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal and justice. Because here, every lie has its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay strong, and stay tuned.